Good morning. Welcome to the Millionaire Book Club. My name is Prairie Hunter. Side effects of tapping in with me every single morning do include personal development, mindset transformation, paradigm shifts, and the ability to think your way to success. So I'm super excited, super blessed, super grateful to be here. Drop me something that you're grateful for in the chat. No matter if you are watching live or if you're watching the replay, drop me something that you're grateful for. I'm grateful for you. I'm grateful for this day. I'm grateful for my life. I'm grateful for my children. I'm grateful for my spouse. I'm grateful for my mind. I'm grateful to be able to develop my mind. I'm grateful for my awareness of who I am and what I am and whose I am. I'm grateful for just the feeling of feeling good. I'm grateful to be able to serve every single day, serve my purpose, to bring this information to whoever seeks it, whoever is seeking growth, seeking change, seeking self mastery. I'm just grateful to be like the one God chose to bring this information to the people. Okay. So, we are reading The Power of Awareness, doing chapters 6, 7, and 8 today. I'm going to go ahead and get the daily word read. Barb said, I am so grateful for another day. I'm grateful for God. I'm grateful to be able to listen to the book club this morning. I am just so grateful. I am super fantastic grateful. Yes, yes. Grateful. Thank you, Queen. I'm grateful that you're here. I'm grateful that you always show up, not just for me, but for yourself. I'm grateful to be connected to like minds who are seeking the same type of self development and personal growth that I am. I'm just grateful for everything, y'all. Super, super blessed. Super blessed. So let's get this daily word read. Okay. The daily word. All right. Today is June 3rd. This is my birthday month. I'm super excited. Turning 31. 31. Okay. June 3rd. The word of the day today is silence. Okay, silence. Thursday, June 3rd. In the stillness, my soul is enfolded in peace. True silence is a destination, a place of deep, abiding peace and tranquility. I can reach this place by resting in the peace of God, breathing deeply and mindfully to settle my thoughts. In these quiet moments, I let go of everything I've been holding on to. I release judgments and I allow thoughts about the future to fade away. As I relax, the silence envelops me. I touch eternity in this place where the past and the future do not exist. I feel peace and calm that remain with me throughout my day, even after my time in the silence has ended. I am grateful I can deeply enrich my life by taking regular time to replenish myself by resting in the silence. He said to them, come away to a deserted place all by yourselves and rest a while. For many were coming and going, and they had no leisure even to eat. Mark 6:31. Okay. So silence and the stillness, my soul is enfolded in peace. That silence is like meditating, right? Something I learned is, a lot of people pray, but not as many people meditate. So a lot of people are praying. They asking God for things, but they never meditate and allow God to answer, right? They never just sit in silence and get the answers. Good morning, Josh. Welcome, King. Drop me something that you're grateful for. So silence is pivotal. And it also goes well with what we read yesterday. We read chapter 3, 4, and 5 yesterday. And what stuck out to me the most was the piece about imagination, right? Using your imagination, staying in the wish fulfilled, bringing that, like keeping your desires and your dreams, keeping them alive in your imagination. Even though you don't have them physically, you can keep them alive in your imagination. And eventually, what you hold in your mind, you're going to hold in your hands, right? In the present moment. So I love that. Silence. I'm going to pull us a card. This is a Four Agreements card. Four Agreements, Don Miguel Ruiz. This was our fifth book that we read. It's all about self-mastery. It challenges your beliefs. I definitely suggest you go back and read this book or pick it up if you didn't read, okay? If you wasn't tapping in every morning. I wasn't going live on YouTube yet, but I do have these videos on Facebook somewhere. All right, let me close the card. Great. All right. The day is Thursday. All right. Be impeccable with your word. Okay. Be impeccable with your word. I'll show my Facebook people. Go. Be impeccable with your word. Become a white magician. All the magic you possess is based on your word, and you cast spells all the time with your opinions. You can either put a spell on someone with your word, or you can release someone from a spell. Okay? So the tongue is powerful. Let's see what's on the flip side. On the flip side, we have don't make assumptions. Relinquish the need to change others. Okay? Don't make assumptions and relinquish the need to change others. Real love is accepting other people the way they are without trying to change them. If we try to change them, this means that we don't really like them. It is easier to find someone who is already the way you want him or her to be instead of trying to change that person. Okay? So let's get the read started. We're going to do chapter 6, 7, and 8 today. If I say something that resonates with you, that's like a light bulb moment, that's just, it provides some clarity. It just provides some new information, some new ideas for you to think from. Drop me an MOC in the chat. That means moment of clarity. Okay. So that's just my way of connecting with you guys. Even if you go back and watch this replay, drop your MOCs in the chat. Let me know what you thought about my reading. Rate my reading skills, right? Rate my read on a scale of 0 to 10. How did I do? I definitely want to know. Okay. So let's get started. Chapter 6, Attention. A double-minded man is unstable in all his ways. James 1:8. Attention is forceful in proportion to the narrowness of its focus. That is, when it is obsessed with a single idea or sensation. It is steady and powerfully focused only by such an adjustment of the mind as permits you to see one thing only. For you steady the attention and increase its power by confining it. The desire which realizes itself is always a desire upon which attention is exclusively concentrated, for an idea is endowed with power only in proportion to the degree of attention fixed on it. Concentrated observation is the attentive attitude directed towards some specific end. The attentive attitude involves selection, for when you pay attention, it signifies that you have decided to focus your attention on one object or state rather than another. Therefore, when you know what you want, you must deliberately focus your attention on the feeling of your wish fulfilled until that feeling fills the mind and crowds all other ideas out of consciousness. The power of attention is the measure of your inner force. Concentrated observation of one thing shuts out other things and causes them to disappear. The great secret of success is to focus the attention on the feeling of the wish fulfilled without permitting any distractions. All progress depends upon an increase of attention. The ideas which impel you to action are those which dominate the consciousness, those which possess the attention. Okay? So it's very, 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 you have to really think about what are you giving your attention to, right? What are you giving your thought energy to? What are you thinking about on a day-to-day basis? You become what you think about the most, okay? You become what you think about the most. So if you're thinking about your problems the most, you become full of problems, right? You create more problems for yourself. If you're thinking about your goals, if you're thinking about your dreams, if you're thinking about, you know what I'm saying, spreading love, spreading light, then that's what you become. If you're thinking about all of the drama from last week, all of the future drama and fear and all of this, that's what you become. So you literally, you become what you think about the most. So pay attention to that. Okay. This one thing I do, forgetting those things that are behind, I press toward the mark. This means this one thing you can do, forgetting those things that are behind, you can press toward the mark of filling your mind with the feeling of the wish fulfilled. To the unenlightened man, this will seem to be all fantasy. Yet all progress comes from those who do not take the accepted view nor accept the world as is. As was stated heretofore, if you can imagine what you please, and if the forms of your thought are as vivid as the forms of nature, you are by virtue of the power of your imagination, master of your fate. Your imagination is you yourself, and the world, as your imagination sees, it is the real world. Okay? When you set out to master the movements of attention, which must be done if you will successfully alter the course of observed events, it is then you realize how little control you exercise over your imagination and how much it is dominated by sensory impressions and by a drifting on the tides of the idle moods. To aid in mastering the control of your attention, practice this exercise. Okay, I like this. Practice this exercise. I like when we get steps to follow, right? Things that we can do now. Look at me. Okay. Things that we can do now. Night after night, just before you drift off to sleep, strive to hold your attention on the activities of the day in reverse order. Focus your attention on the last thing you did, that is, getting into bed, and then move it backward in time over the events until you reach the first event of the day, getting out of bed. Okay? So you're gonna go through your whole day, everything that happened, but from in the reverse. Okay? This is no easy exercise, but just as specific exercises greatly help in developing specific muscles, this will greatly help in developing the muscle of your attention. Your attention must be developed, controlled, and concentrated in order to change your concept of yourself successfully and thereby change your future. Imagination is able to do anything, but only according to the internal direction of your attention. If you persist night after night, sooner or later you will awaken in yourself a center of power and become conscious of your greater self, the real you. Attention is developed by repeated exercise or habit. Through habit, an action becomes easier, and so in course of time gives rise to a facility or faculty which can then be put to higher uses. When you attain control of the internal direction of your attention, you will no longer stand in shallow water, but will launch out into the deep of life. You will walk in the assumption of the wish fulfilled as on a foundation more solid even than earth. Ooh, okay, so that was that chapter, chapter 6. These chapters is short but jam-packed with information. That's what I love. Okay. Yeah, I don't know why my eye is light. I don't know what it is. Let's see. Okay. Chapter 7, attitude. Experiments recently conducted by Merrill Lawrence, Princeton, and Adelbert Ames, Dartmouth, in the later psychology laboratory at Hanover, NH, prove that what you see when you look at something depends not so much on what is there as on the assumption you make when you look. Okay? What you see when you look at something depends not so much on what is there as on the assumption you make when you look. Since what we believe to be the real physical world is actually only an assumptive world, it is not surprising that these experiments prove that what appears to be solid reality is actually the result of expectations or assumptions. Your assumptions determine not only what you see, but also what you do. For they govern all your conscious and subconscious movements towards the fulfillment of themselves. Over a century ago, this truth was stated by Emerson as follows: as the world was plastic and fluid in the hands of God, so it is ever too so much of his attributes as we bring to it. To ignorance and sin, it is flint. They adapt themselves to it as they may, but in proportion as a man has anything in him divine, the firmament flows before him and takes his signet and form. Cynthia, good morning, Cynthia. I miss you too, Queen. Yes, look, human audio book around here. I miss you. Mwah. Okay. Your assumption is the hand of God molding the firmament into the image of that which you assume. The assumption of the wish fulfilled is the high tide which lifts you easily off the bar of the senses where you have so long lain stranded. Okay, I love that. Your assumption is the hand of God molding the firmament into the image of that which you assume, right? What you imagine, what you want, how you see yourself, your concept of who you are, what you can have, right? The assumption of the wish fulfilled is the high tide which lifts you easily off the bar of the senses where you have so long lain stranded. Okay, it lifts the mind into prophecy and the full right sense of the word. And if you have that controlled imagination and absorbed attention, which it is possible to attain, you may be sure that all your assumption implies will come to pass. When William Blake wrote, "What seems to be is to those to whom it seems to be," right? What seems to be is to those to whom it seems to be. He was only repeating the eternal truth. There is nothing unclean of itself, but to him that esteemeth anything to be unclean, to him it is unclean. Okay, Romans 14:14. So everything is according to what you believe. Everything is according to what you believe, right? I might believe in something that you totally are against, right? Don't make it right on my end, don't make it wrong on your end, just makes it a different assumption, right? A different set of beliefs. And that's okay. But that just lets you know, you can change your concept of yourself. If you don't like the way your life is, change the way you thinking about yourself, change the way you speaking about yourself, change the rhetoric. Okay? Change the assumption, what you assume you can have, what you assume you can attain. Because there is nothing unclean of itself or clean of itself, you should assume the best and think only of that which is lovely and of good report. It is not superior insight, but ignorance of this law of assumption, if you read into the greatness of men some littleness with which you may be familiar, or into some situation or circumstance an unfavorable conviction. Your particular relationship to another influences your assumption with respect to that other and makes you see in him that which you do see. Okay? If you can change your opinion of another, then what you now believe of him cannot be absolutely true, but is only relatively true. Okay? The following is an actual case history illustrating how the law of assumption works. One day, a costume designer described to me her difficulties in working with a prominent theatrical producer. She was convinced that he unjustly criticized and rejected her best work, and that often he was deliberately rude and unfair to her. Upon hearing her story, I explained that if she found the other rude and unfair, it was a sure sign that she herself was wanting, and that it was not the producer, but herself that was in need of a new attitude. I told her that the power of this law of assumption and its practical application could be discovered only through experience, and that only by assuming that the situation was already what she wanted it to be could she prove that she could bring about the change desired. Okay? Her employer was merely bearing witness, telling her by his behavior what her concept of him was. I suggested that it was quite probable that she was carrying on conversations with him in her mind, which were filled with criticism and recrimination. There was no doubt, but she was mentally arguing with the producer. For others only echo that which we whisper to them in secret. Ooh, that was an MOC. Okay, listen. For others only echo that which we whisper to them in secret. Okay, so the way that you're thinking about a person is probably the way they act. If you think they act like this or they act like that, you know what I'm saying? If you think these things, if you assume these things about these people or about people in general, that's probably the way they act, right? Because the universe is responding to your thoughts. You know, oh, you think this person is this type of way? Okay, this what I'm gonna give you out of them, right? So start changing the way you view people, the things you assume about people. Okay. I asked her if it was not true that she talked to him mentally, and if so, what those conversations were like. She confessed that every morning on her way to the theater, she told him just what she thought of him in a way she would have never dared to address him in person. The intensity and force of her mental arguments with him automatically established his behavior towards her. Okay, yes, Barb, definitely an MOC for me as well. MOC. Listen, the intensity and force of her mental arguments with him automatically established his behavior towards her. Okay. She began to realize that all of us carry on mental conversations, but unfortunately, on most occasions, these conversations are argumentative. That we have only to observe the passerby on the street to prove this assertion. That so many people are mentally engrossed in conversation and few appear to be happy about it. But the very intensity of their feeling must lead them quickly to the unpleasant incident they themselves have mentally created and therefore must now encounter. Mm. When she realized what she had been doing, she agreed to change her attitude and to live this law faithfully by assuming that her job was highly satisfactory and her relationship with the producer was a very happy one. To do this, she agreed that before going to sleep at night on her way to work and at other intervals during the day, she would imagine that he had congratulated her on her fine designs and that she in turn had thanked him for his praise and kindness. To her great delight, she soon discovered for herself that her own attitude was the cause of all that befell her. Okay, her own attitude. You know, so many times people be so stuck in their ways. You know what I'm saying? You hear that a lot. Oh, they stuck in their ways. They stuck in their ways. They're not gonna change. They're not gonna change. But those little changes, you know, just tweaking those little things about yourself could change everything, right? Instead of thinking or feeling that someone else is supposed to change something for you, you know what I'm saying? You change for you. you know, to make the situations better. Yes, this is MOC's all the way round, okay? The behavior of her employer miraculously reversed itself. His attitude, echoing, as it had always done, that which she had assumed, now reflected her changed concept of him. What she did was, by the power of her imagination, her persistent assumption influenced his behavior and determined his attitude toward her. Right? We got a lot of control. And the more and more we read, the more and more we learn, you just see how much power we really have, right? We have a lot of control, and it's very, very amazing. With the passport of desire and on the wings of a controlled imagination, she traveled into the future of her own predetermined experience. Thus we see it is not facts, but that which we create in our imagination, which shapes our lives. For most of the conflicts of the day are due to the want of a little imagination to cast the beam out of our own eye. It is the exact and literal minded who live in a fictitious world. Okay, did y'all hear that? It is the exact and literal minded who live in a fictitious world. Okay, this is a video game, right? Let's master the video game, right? Let's step outside of the box. Let's step outside of the programming, what we've been programmed to think and what we've been programmed to believe, right? And let's start really living life, because we don't have to live life the way somebody say we have to live it, right? We don't have to be victim of our circumstances. We don't have to do things the way everybody else has always done them, right? We can dream up our own stuff. And that's the thing. That's what I say about the television. When they say the television tells your vision, right? So instead of us, okay, now we got TVs all the times. That's what we fill in our mind with. We not sitting there thinking, we not sitting there creating, we not sitting there dreaming. We just watching the television, letting them tell our vision. And instead, we can be in our own mind, creating our own movie, right? Creating our own reality show about our own life, where we the stars, not watching somebody else's reality, which is fake, right? Fake reality shows. No, we can be creating our own reality. It's a beautiful thing. Okay? As this designer, by her controlled imagination, started the subtle change in her employer's mind, so can we, by the control of our imagination and wisely directed feeling, solve our problems. By the intensity of her imagination and feeling, the designer cast a kind of enchantment on her producer's mind and caused him to think that his generous praise originated with him. Often our most elaborate and original thoughts are determined by another. We should never be certain that it was not some woman treading in the winepress who began that subtle change in men's mind, or that the passion did not begin in the mind of some shepherd boy, lighting up his eyes for a moment before it ran upon its way. William Butler Yeats. Okay, so that was the attitude, right? We done did attention, we done did attitude, and now renunciation, okay? And renunciation is chapter 8. This is the last chapter that we will read, okay? Great chapters so far. I'm very, very excited, very grateful to be learning this information, to gain these new ideas daily to think from, right? To start implementing these things into my life, just to see the type of changes that can be made, right? I've done everything else I was told to do. I went and did all the physical work that I had to do, right? Why not do the spiritual work? Why not tap into the spiritual side of success and use it to our advantage, right? And be happier and be more stress-free because of it, right? Because we're not breaking down our bodies. We actually reserve in our bodies, right? We reserve in our mind. We reserve and preserve in our energies. Okay. Chapter 8, renunciation. There is no coal of character so dead that it will not glow and flame if but slightly turned. Resist not evil. Whosoever shall smite thee on thy right cheek, turn to him the other also. There's a great difference between resisting evil and renouncing it. Okay. When you resist evil, you give it your attention. You continue to make it real. When you renounce evil, you take your attention from it and give your attention to what you want. Now is the time to control your imagination and give beauty for ashes, joy for mourning, praise for the spirit of heaviness, that they might be called trees of righteousness, the planting of the Lord, that he might be glorified. Okay. You give beauty for ashes when you concentrate your attention on things as you would like them to be rather than on things as they are. Okay. You give joy for mourning when you maintain a joyous attitude regardless of unfavorable circumstances. You give praise for the spirit of heaviness when you maintain a confident attitude instead of succumbing to despondency. Right? Now, all of these things, they seem challenging to do because they're not natural for us, right? We are naturally negative. We naturally worried about the problems. We naturally not letting go and letting God. We feeling like we have to be on top of everything and controlling everything, right? We don't naturally just be grateful for our issues and our problems that arise. We don't view these things as blessings. We view them as burdens. But honestly, they blessings because they are blessings for us to, when you're going through something uncomfortable or in a situation that you don't really like or you don't really understand, it gives you such good opportunity to clearly clarify and identify the things you do really want, right? The ways you would want things to be if all was perfect, right? So it's not a bad thing to go through things, right? You got to go through some things to grow. In this quotation, the Bible uses the word tree as a synonym for man. You become a tree of righteousness when the above mental states are a permanent part of your consciousness. You are a planting of the Lord when all your thoughts are true thoughts. Okay, you are a planting of the Lord when all your thoughts are true thoughts. Right? And that's just being positive, right? Being happy, being coming from a place of light and doing your best every day to bring that person forth. Let your higher self come to the forefront, right? And it's okay if every single day you don't do it. If you fail sometimes, right? You get down, don't stay down. You fail today, get right back up tomorrow, right? You fail for an hour, in the next hour, listen, get right back to it. Okay. He is, I am, as described in chapter 1. I am is glorified when your highest concept of yourself is manifested. When you have discovered your own controlled imagination to be your savior, your attitude will be completely altered without any diminution of religious feeling, and you will say of your controlled imagination, behold this vine, I found it a wild tree, whose wanton strength had swollen into irregular twigs. But I pruned the plant, and it grew temperate in its vain expense of useless leaves, and nodded as you see into these clean, full clusters to repay the hand that wisely wounded it. By vine is meant your imagination, which in its uncontrolled state expends its energy in useless or destructive thoughts and feelings. But you, just as the vine is pruned by cutting away its useless branches and roots, prune your imagination by withdrawing your attention from all unlovely and destructive ideas and concentrating on the ideal you wish to attain. The happier, more noble life you will experience will be the result of wisely pruning your own imagination. Okay? Yes, Be pruned of all unlovely thoughts and feelings, that you may think truly, and thy thoughts shall the world's famine feed. Speak truly, and each word of thine shall be a fruitful seed. Live truly, and thy life shall be a great and noble creed. Okay, MOC for the queen. And that is the end of that chapter. Okay, and so that is where I'm going to end the read. Wow, 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 wow. Like, this book is mind blowing. It's phenomenal. It's really phenomenal. And it's so short to be getting all of this in the first, what, 8 chapters, right? And these chapters are so short, but this book is literally the power of awareness. You have to, you know what I'm saying? If you listen to this and you don't, if you hear the read, or if you read it and it doesn't resonate with you, that's okay. All right. You still have a little learning to do. You have to be at a certain level of awareness to understand this stuff, right? The people that have been with me from the beginning, we didn't study several things now, right? So this makes sense. But if it don't make sense right now, still listen to it, because your subconscious will absorb it all, right? And at some point in the future, go back and read it again. After you've developed your mindset a little more, after you are more aware of your power, right? The power that you have within your mind, right? We got so much power in our mind, and you know, we get tricked out of using it because we don't know about it. Number one, we wasn't taught how to use it, how to tap into the power. And then we wasn't really taught about energy and vibrations and frequencies, and how we are always emitting a energy or a frequency, right? And if it's positive or if it's negative, that matters, right? That matters in what you are creating in your experience every day. And because this is a negative society, a lot of people are always giving off negative vibes, right? Negative energy. They mad, they angry, they frustrated, they stressed, they you know what I'm saying? They in a hurry. Like, no. Let's just be chill human beings, right? Let's be chill human beings. Let's have this experience, and let's have it beautifully. Let's have it abundantly. Let's create it, right? Let's let's not feel victim to our circumstances. Let's not feel like things are unattainable or unreachable or unachievable, because everything that we desire we can have, right? If we truly believe it, if we change the concept of ourselves, right? Whatever you assume to be true is true. As a man thinketh, so is he, right? So if you think you can do great things, wonderful things, magnificent things, achieve, right? You can, and you will. And you have to do the work, right? And you have to be okay with not getting that microwave blessing or immediate gratification, right? You have to be willing to plant the seed, allow, lay the foundation, let the rooting phase take place, cultivate that seed, water it, do what you got to do. And every day you do that by keeping your vibration and your frequency and your energy on high, right? Not low, on high, being happy, being loving, being kind, spreading light, spreading love, having just a positive disposition, not a nasty attitude, right? It costs you nothing to smile. It costs you nothing to just be happy, to just be okay with life and everything that you have right here, right now, right? To accept the things that have happened in the past, to not be looking so far into the future, but to know that what you're doing in the present day is creating the future, right? People be looking to the future like, oh, I'm gonna do this in the future. But if you're not doing this right now, if you're not, you know what I'm saying? You gotta, our present is creating our future. The past is gone. Our present is creating our future. So you have to be living right, doing right, thinking right, speaking right now. It's not nothing that you're going to get to like, oh, if I get this, then I'm going to turn to this person. No, you grow on this journey. You become what you're becoming, right? It's not about where you're going. It's about what you're becoming on the journey. Okay. So I literally love this journey with you guys. I love doing this every single morning with you. If you took value from this, drop me a 333 in the chat. For my people that watch the replay, do the same. Drop a 333 in the chat. And let me know what MOC you had today. Okay, I see Barb, right? Barb is with me live right now. I see her MOC. But for the people that watch the replay, let me know, did you learn? What did you learn from this read? What will you change about yourself from this read? Um, do you believe in this stuff, right? Do you believe that we have power in our minds? We can co-create with the creator, right? We have a say so in our experience, and it's not so much just financial, right? Oh, if we got a lot of money, we can make a lot of stuff happen. No, we can make a lot happen without no money, right? Without no money. And honestly, once you align with like the energies that attract abundance and wealth and prosperity, all of that stuff start flowing to you, right? And oversupply, right? So then when you got too much that you can handle, then where's your power, right? It's here. It's in your mind at all times. Okay. So that's it, family. I'm going to go ahead and end it here. I definitely enjoyed you guys. I am your sister in love. I am your sister in light. Protect your energy today. Protect your peace today. Go be a light. Go be kind. Go spread the good energy and the good vibes. Tell somebody about the book club today, right? If you're not subscribed to my YouTube page, subscribe to my YouTube. Go back and watch the replays. Go back and rewatch these reads, okay? Go back and read it for yourself, right? Like I said, this stuff is so good and it's so short, it's worth it to go back and just read it over, right? Read it over so you can hear it in your own words, so your subconscious can hear it coming out of your mouth. Um, and yeah, start practicing it as well. Okay, so that's it, you guys. I am your sister in love and light. I'll be back in the morning for sure. Friday, we'll get a couple more chapters down and go into the weekend. So that's it. Y'all have a great day.